Previously on Better Minecraft, I explored the stony shore for the first time. Then, because I can't resist trouble, I did some nighttime exploring. That's when I found two strange houses on a hill, not far from my base. By sunrise, I was heading back home, ready to decorate and do some landscaping. Before I could settle in, a group of pillagers showed up out of nowhere. I fought them off, but one managed to take me down. No way I was about to let that stand. Once he was taken care of, although it was nighttime, I got back to work. The next morning, I dug down into the ground and discovered my very first cave system. I couldn't believe this was right under our base. Once I was down there, the danger kept coming. I barely survived a skeleton that dropped me down to 1 heart. I also found these mysterious urns. On the way out, an enderman appeared, and after a tense fight, I managed to take it down and finally made it back home, where the episode came to a close. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name's Chris, also known as ObscureNomad. So everyone, I gotta keep it real. I don't know what day it is. Just gotta put that out there. But I am really excited for this episode. I have a lot in store for you. The past couple weeks have been a blast. At the time we're recording this, we're at over 800 subscribers. That is wild to me. I'm so happy that you are all joining me for the journey. With that being said, let's get into today's adventure. I love the idea of using the stony shore as a fishing post. In time, I think it would be cool to fix it up. For now, we're just going to light it up. I think it would be a good idea so no mobs spawn while we're fishing. I have never built a fishing post, so we're probably going to be winging it. Kind of like we did with the stairs, but I love the way they look. If you have any ideas on what you want to see me put here, let me know down in the comments. Lighting up the place took some time, but it's definitely worth it. Torches lit, rod in hand, I began fishing. Even with Lure 1, this took a while. I'm not sure if the time of day affects fishing. I noticed on my minimap a drowned approaching, so I quickly left. We were not having any luck fishing, so I decided to go home and we would try again the next day. I think fishing in Minecraft is so relaxing. Does anyone else enjoy it? Does anyone else fish in real life? First thing in the morning, we prepared ourselves. I think I've seen people go fishing early in the morning, so it made sense. I got a good feeling about this. I thought it would be easier to see if I got a bite if the sun wasn't in my eyes. Oh yeah, this was much better. While fishing, I was hoping to get a bow, some leather, a fishing rod with luck of the sea, or really any other good enchantments. The whole idea with luck of the sea is maybe I can get enchanted books, or in my opinion just as good, an enchanted bow. I saw this YouTuber, Wenzo. He did a playthrough where he beat Minecraft with a fishing rod. That was crazy, and shout out to him for such a cool video. And here I was thinking to myself, it would be nice if I could make a bundle. Hands down, in my opinion, bundles are really helpful. I got really excited at the thought of having a bundle, so I started looking to see if I could make one. I then thought I could maybe make a bag. This bag of spoils could be made with a string and 5 fox pelts, but I have not seen a fox yet. I then thought about a backpack. It would take 2 strings, 1 ingot, and 6 leather. That seemed very doable. I stuck around for one last cast and I got a tripwire hook. Our next goal was simple. Build a cow farm so we'd finally have a steady source of leather. That seemed to me like a crucial step in obtaining a backpack. I love the way these cherry fences look. Before we go look for cows, we want to make sure we have a place to keep them. I really do like the way these corners on the fences look. This is coming together nicely. In time, it would be cool to expand on this. Maybe do another couple pens for other animals. I came back to the base to get the materials needed to make a gate. Eventually, we're going to have to work on the storage system that I have because it's not working out. When I heard about the copper golem, I figured all my problems would be solved. As I'm doing this voiceover, I realized that I don't know if they're in this mod pack. That's just another thing we're going to learn together in this journey. With a gate in hand, we can finally finish this cow pen. I brought straw with me, hoping it would be enough to lead a few cows back home if we could find them. I searched the area, but instead of cows, all I saw were horses. Off in the distance, there was a single cow I didn't even notice until editing this video. Not far from there, I was suddenly chased by a spider. To escape, I jumped off a cliff toward the ocean, but I barely missed the water and took 2 hearts of damage. Climbing back up the hill, I found the spider waiting in the shadows, ready to charge me again. I ran past the spider and made my way back to where the cow had been, but by the time I reached the field with horses, the place was swarming with 5 zombies. Yeah, no thanks, I bailed. Choosing survival, I made my way home, where I slept through the night. I woke up the next morning and set out again, hoping to finally track down some cows. I've been trying out some horror Minecraft. Oh, cool, a rainbow. I've never seen a rainbow in Minecraft. Yeah, so I've been playing like horror Minecraft, just trying to get a feel for the game. But I know that like I don't have to 100% commit to, unlike this. But this is way more easy on my nerves. I don't feel paranoid like something's gonna jump out and get me, because that happens a lot. Do they not like straw? Okay. Turns out cows don't care about straw. If I wanted to bring them home, I was going to need some wheat. Just over the hill, near the 2 houses I found the night before, I spotted a patch with a couple pumpkins and a few chests. I decided to check them out, hoping they might have some wheat and maybe a few bones, since I could hear a wolf nearby. Sorry, buddy. I'm sure you're a really good boy. Leaving behind the wolf we had just met, we pressed on and stumbled across a massive canyon. Oh, that's cool. Got a pale forest. At the bottom ran a river, and across the gap stood a pale forest stretching out on the other side. I also think the pale forest is really cool. We're gonna have to eventually go and check that out. I saw my hunger getting low. I decided to eat before we moved on. I didn't realize the pale forest extended to this side, so I was able to see it up close. It would be cool to see it creaking, but also not cool at the same time. Those things are terrifying at night. I headed towards the cherry forest, where it turns out I made a giant circle. Okay, so I'm just on the other side. That's cool. Quick side note. You've probably noticed a lot of this episode's voiceover was recorded after the fact. When I first captured this footage, I wasn't planning to treat this like a full-time thing. The original audio quality shows that, but I appreciate you all for sticking with me as I learn. As I mentioned back in the last episode, when I run into an Enderman, I usually go for the fight. This guy is no exception. My go-to tactic is digging a tunnel just 2 blocks high. It's the simplest and safest way to deal with them, but this time, things didn't go quite as planned. I thought I had him, but then he teleported away. This dude is like running away. Come on, man. I tried to lure him over here, but he wasn't taking the bait. When I re-emerged, once again he was gone. I kept searching for the Enderman, though by this point I'd already forgotten about my original goal of finding wheat for cows. While I was still searching, I spotted the Enderman again, and right beside him, a sheep that I didn't realize would become important later. Right away, I started digging another tunnel, but after breaking just the second dirt block, I slipped up. I threw my shovel by accident. As soon as I emerged from the tunnel, the Enderman and I locked eyes. It was time to take him down. He charged straight at me, but the tunnel worked perfectly and gave me the edge. I heard a sheep nearby. A little hint of what fate had in store. Oh snap. This is actually really dope. I moved into the mine shaft, placing a torch as I went. I peered down into the mine shaft, wanting to explore, but decided to head back out for now. As I stepped outside, I marked my X and Y coordinates out loud to better remember the spot. 349, 114. Maybe I can just make a bed out here. And with that in mind, I took off towards the sheep I seen earlier. I decided I would only take out the sheep if there were enough of them. And here I was distracted by this massive tree. I thought it was pretty cool, but I moved on. I finally found a bunch of sheep. Perfect. I didn't waste any time. Took them out. I only needed 3 sheep, but yeah, I went full overkill and took out 5. With more wool than I needed, I headed back down towards the mine shaft. With the sun going down, I headed into the mine shaft. As quickly as I could, I put together a crafting table. The next thing I did was make a bed. I set my spawn, but I wouldn't be sleeping this night. Next, I made a chest. So, I had a pro gamer moment. I went down without torches and I realized about 2 blocks down that I need them. With my torches in hand, what cuts me down at the bottom? I really didn't know what to expect down here. It looks like I got spooked here. I proceeded with caution. As far as I knew, it was only me and my imagination. I noticed this was much wider than a normal mine shaft. I started to wonder who may have been down here in these mines. I was looking down every passageway in hopes of finding a minecart with a chest. I figured if I found one, there had to be good loot in it. So my search continued on. I eventually found this cobblestone wall, and I thought there might be a mob spawner behind it. Because I had no tools, I punched through it. I also found this stuff called argentum ore. Couldn't mine it though. It was kind of a letdown. Guess I'll have to come back for it later. I continued exploring, and eventually I found some redstone. My torches began running low, so I decided to make my way out. As I made my way out of the mine shaft, I realized it went about 58 blocks deep. Climbing up wasn't easy. I kept running into spots where the blocks above couldn't be scaled, so I had to try different paths. After some struggling and a few detours, I finally reached the top, only to find it was the middle of the night. Once I reached the top, I jumped into bed in-game, but in real life, Tia, my cat from episode 1, started letting me know she was hungry. I paused the game, and her meows made it into the recording. Little does she know, lunch is just around the corner. Make sure you all take a second to feed your fur babies. And yourself. Eating is important. I grabbed a few things I thought I might need. Made a couple torches. Grabbed this crafting table. I also took one last look for tools I might need. And then I was out. I made my way back down, more prepared than the last time. Tia came along to remind me it was time to eat. I'll be honest, when it comes to her eating, she is so spoiled. But I love her and she is happy, and that's all that matters. This seemed like a really good opportunity to get string. I came across more of that argentum ore. This time I was able to collect it. What the hell was that? As soon as I heard that sound, I bolted back toward the bottom of the mine shaft, nearly tripping over everything in my way. I blocked myself in with a crafting table, and then I tried to make a bow. And once again, I'm struggling a bit. But of course, I do not have... Oh, that doesn't even work. I figured with the help of the recipe book, I could figure this out. Oh. It turns out I had the string and the sticks set up backwards. No. Third time's a charm. Even while watching this when I edit, I'm still laughing so hard. There we go. Now I just need arrows. How do I get arrows? Is he friendly? Am I gonna regret this? Oh, hey. I mean, it can't be that strong. Right. I was still a bit skeptical if this guy was a friend or a foe. I'd be in the chat right now, like, does anyone know what that is? Are you still here? Well, I don't have the chat just yet, but I do have Google. That's right, I searched up what he was. Okay. So that guy down there, the little rascal, was playing hide and seek. It turns out he just wanted to play hide and seek, and if you found him 3 times, he would give you a gift. I can't believe I thought this guy might have been dangerous. After that brief encounter, I collected this iron that was nearby. And then I had to make a wood pickaxe to make a stone pickaxe to mine the iron. At this point, I've got to say, thank you for being here. A while ago, I'd never thought I'd be doing voiceovers, and now here I am, trying to find my rhythm. It's not easy, but it's different and it feels good, refreshing even. And knowing you're here, watching makes it all the better. I noticed what looked like an invisibility potion drifting through the air. I followed it until it hit a dead end at the wall. And when I turned around, there he was again. The rascal. This time, he handed me a bundle, and honestly, I was pretty stoked about that. Sick, what was that? Oh, a bundle. Oh, hey. The bundle he left me had an iron pickaxe inside. Been wanting one of those. This is nice. It wasn't just any pick, but one with silk touch and efficiency 3. After getting that nice gift, I made a few torches to light the way and continued on, ready to see what else this place had in store. And here I saw this minecart. I really wanted to see what was inside, but I had to make sure the place was clear. After scouting, I headed back. I was wondering why I couldn't open it, but it turned out to be a minecart with TNT. Oh, that's TNT. That's just one more block. I don't know what to use it for. I continued until I found a dead end, and I thought it would be a good idea to try digging up. There was another level above me, so I used some blocks to make my way up. When I got to the next level, I looked around, but got distracted by the lapis lazuli. I then checked behind me and the coast was clear. I kept thinking I would find a dungeon behind these walls. While looking around, I spotted a couple ores and decided to gather them. I made my way back to the lapis lazuli that I first saw when I entered this level. It turned out to be a pretty nice vein. Just as I started mining a block of coal, I heard the rascal again. I grabbed the coal, then quickly made my way towards the sound. By this time, I was happy to see the rascal. If I could get another bundle, that would be great. It's time for another game of hide and seek. I looked and looked, but only ran into dead ends and no rascal. I figured maybe he left, so I continued looking around to see what else I could find. I searched around and eventually I came across an opening in the mine shaft. I didn't realize it until now. We were right next to a giant cave system. I wanted to continue exploring the mine shaft, so I headed back inside. We got lucky and found some ores. I gathered them and then continued searching. So far, I'm happy with everything we found. I continued to the other side of the mine shaft where we had not explored yet. Eventually, I came across a minecart with a chest. I gathered everything from the chest and then I was on my way. I came to yet another dead end in one of the mineshaft tunnels. This wall was different. The wall was made of a block called rhyolite. After looking over it for a moment, I gathered a handful and then broke through the tunnel on the other side, leading deeper into unexplored passages. Here I am looking for another dungeon, but I only found iron. I saw this ladder and continued to the next level. That's when I saw the mineshaft had another opening to the cave system. I also found this block called Lumiere block. I honestly could be pronouncing that wrong though. However you pronounce it, I decided to grab some. Before heading into the cave system above, I tried to gather myself. After I shook off the nervousness, I decided to head up. The only mob I saw was a spider off in the distance. I decided to proceed cautiously and made my way to more of that yellow block I found earlier. I also found some of those mysterious urns from the second episode. From these two urns, I was able to gather some seeds and antique ink. I wonder what we're able to do with the antique ink. I searched around and I found a few more urns, so I decided to look through them. I found a couple more urns that was surrounded by iron. Needless to say, I got to work and I even found emeralds. I have not found a village yet, so maybe we can use these with the wandering trader. It looked to me like we found everything that was of value, so I made my way out. I almost ran past these urns, but I made my way back. Once we were back in the mine shaft, we found another TNT cart. We've come a long way. We started out with a light inventory, and now even with a bundle, we're struggling to manage. With most of this mine shaft explored, I made my way back to the entrance. As I made my way out, I noticed a small yellow dot on my minimap and decided to make my way to it. It was our buddy the rascal. I saw the invisibility effect lingering, so I followed it. I knew this would lead me straight to the rascal. With everything I learned about the rascal, I look at it like we have a reliable way to get bundles if we ever need them in the future. He wasn't even trying to hide this time. And just like that, we have yet another bundle. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't fit anything in it. Inside the bundle already, there happened to be a pickaxe, so now we have 2 Silk Touch pickaxes. Eventually, I got my inventory figured out a bit more, and we were on our way. I made my way back to this redstone that I saw earlier and decided to mine it out. And this is also another thing I didn't notice until editing, but I was most likely on chunk borders, which is why this vein was so massive. I was making my way out and I noticed I couldn't sprint. Remember, eating is important. After emerging from the mine shaft, I used our new bundles to collect everything we'd left at the entrance. With our gear packed, we started the journey back home. Well, that's Minecraft for you. I set out to do one thing and ended up on a completely different adventure. And somehow, I still don't have what I came for. Guess the cows will have to wait a little longer. While crossing a field, I noticed a small icon on my minimap. It looked like bones and an arrow. Curious, I headed towards it. I think now I realized that the minimap is more useful than I thought. Back at home, I emptied my inventory, and thanks to a little editing magic, you won't even notice I took a break in real life. But trust me, I had been playing for a while. Always important to step away every now and then. After my break, I grabbed a few things, smelted up the iron ore that we'd found, and made myself a brand new axe. I tossed in a bucket too, because you never know. Right after heading out, I pressed something by mistake and opened a menu I never really seen before. After looking into it, I realized it was the advancement menu. I decided to read the instructions. To start the tutorial, click on this quest and read the description. This tutorial will guide you through some basic features. Don't worry, it won't take too long. To start, click the checkmark under the word tasks, and then claim the quest reward. New quests will start to appear. And so I did exactly that. Quest completed. Welcome to Better Minecraft. I got bread twice, okay. Maybe in time we'll come back to these advancements and see what we can do. I continued looking around, not knowing what I'd find. I noticed this tab that said important controls and looked into it. I might not get it all at once, but this would be very important to me. As I stood there soaking it in, I realized the sun was already dipping down. Leaving the menu, I glanced at the map, tried crawling across the ground just to see how it felt, and then slipped inside to get a better look at the map before nightfall. Back on the map screen, I looked over the different icons and menus, even dragging the map around to see what else was out there. One option showed different levels of cave systems, which I thought was pretty interesting. Definitely something to dig into later. Then I spotted a place called Crystal Canyons. On the menu, I saw the option to teleport here, so I tried it out, and it didn't work, but that's okay. I was able to add a waypoint marker to the map. I decided that after a night's rest, I'd head there, not knowing what I might encounter. I woke up the next morning, ready to set off for Crystal Canyons. In my excitement, I forgot to equip a sword. Not exactly the best move, especially with who I was about to run into. I climbed a hill, and at the top, I spotted a grizzly bear with its cub. I approached carefully, listening to its heavy breaths and low growls. It didn't seem to notice me, and I wondered if they're like polar bears in Minecraft, calm unless provoked. I decided not to push my luck and I moved on. Just beyond the hill where the bears were, I came to a river running between two hills, the one I stood on and the one that led straight toward the Crystal Canyons. This wasn't the right tool, but it got the job done. As I made my way up the hill, a massive chasm came into view, much of it glowing in the sunlight pouring down. I took a second to remove my waypoint, and then I pressed on. I tried to get closer for a better view of the canyon. I stood on the cliff and peered down at the crystals in the pool below. A deep breath, a leap, and the water caught me. Perfect landing. I climbed out of the pool and spotted dark cyan blocks scattered around, along with Lumiere blocks like the ones we found earlier back at the mine shaft. Water flowed from the pool, and I followed it deeper into the canyon. At the bottom, I had my pickaxe ready for the cyan blocks. I tried to mine a cluster I saw, but it got away from me. I continued to mine the other blocks. This time I was hoping I wouldn't lose anymore. I went into my inventory so I could see what the blocks were called. We found a couple blocks of allurite. I wondered what would happen if I tried with the Silk Touch pickaxe. That time we got glinted allurite cluster. I still wondered if any others were different. And sure enough, we did find another variant. There was sun shining on this one block, so I mined it, but it fell below. I thought it might be different, but we'll never know. Seeing the block fall made me realize I was pretty high up. Or rather, that was a long way down. Finally, in a safer place, I decided to continue mining. It looks like we just found more of the same block. I decided to take a better look around. This time I would light the place up. After a couple torches, I decided to grab some more blocks. The Silk Touch pickaxe that we got from the rascal is really coming in handy. After grabbing those few blocks, I decided to continue lighting the place up. I haven't seen any mobs down here, and I wanted to keep it that way. I saw more of this Lumiere block, but I didn't grab any just yet. Same thing with this Argentum ore. I just wanted to make sure the place was safe first. As I continued to light up the place, I saw a bunch of different blocks like calcite, some dripstone blocks. I also saw some diorite that I don't remember looking like this, and even some granite. Maybe it looked different because of the shader pack I was using. I wasn't entirely sure. After I felt like the place was lit up enough, I decided to continue mining. This time we would be getting more Lumiere blocks. I grabbed just a handful of these before moving on. I continued placing torches down and made my way back to the other side of the cave where I had not yet explored. As soon as I got over there, I saw this little creature called Sparkle. He reminded me of an axolotl, so I went back up to the pool, filled my bucket with water, and thought maybe I could bring him home. With water in my bucket, I was determined to bring him home. I tried to scoop him up, but it just wasn't working. I moved into another area where I found Argentum ore. After mining a few blocks, I uncovered some allurite. Just above was a body of water. I decided to swim through the water. It was time to start making my way out of this canyon. I eventually made my way back into the pool that we first jumped into. I came out into the pale forest we saw earlier across the river. It looked like afternoon, so at least I didn't have to worry about the creakings. As I moved on, I took another look at the pale forest. Its muted colors made it feel unlike any other places we'd explored before. Approaching the cliff, I climbed down to the river edge, checked my line, and I took the leap. The water broke my fall. I saw I was hungry, so I tried to eat, but ended up placing down those markers again. I took a few bites and then I moved on. I got distracted by some coal for a second, but I figured I'd leave it and keep moving. There'd be time to get some later. I made it back up, ready to keep going. It was getting dark fast. Luckily, I was near the two houses on the hill. I headed toward one and decided it was the perfect place to rest for the night. After waking up and stepping out, I wandered into a cherry forest just behind the house. While moving through the trees, I pulled up my mini-map and dropped a marker on a structure I spotted nearby. I started toward the waypoint, crossing another stretch of the river we've come to know along the way. It feels like each crossing marks another step further from home and deeper into adventure. After the quick stop at the well, I came across a stone brick structure. A barrel outside caught my eye, and once I stepped inside, I found even more waiting. I grabbed everything I could, but my inventory was pretty full. I collected a few bales of hay and started climbing the tower. I couldn't believe how many bookshelves I saw. With my inventory filling up, I had to be picky, only taking what made the most sense. I saw this bed, so I set my spawn just in case. At the top, I found a chest holding arrows, a couple bows, and even a diamond. I took in the view for a second, but then I left. After I got to the bottom, one last barrel surprised me with an emerald hidden inside. I wandered the area for a while and stumbled on a small ravine. I took a look inside, but decided to leave it for another time. I finally reached the waypoint and found a log house with a fire burning out front. I rushed over quickly and put it out before it could spread. After putting out a few flames, I realized the trees were burning from a nearby lava pit. I grabbed my axe and started chopping them down before the fire could spread to the house I had just found. With the fire under control, I turned my attention to the house. Inside were chests filled with food. My inventory was already packed, so I only grabbed what I could stack. I stopped for a second, thinking about what I could do. Then it clicked. I turned a few bones into bone meal, stacked it with the rest, and freed up a slot. With the space open, I grabbed the potatoes. Exactly what I wanted. Back on the ground level, I picked up a few apples I wasn't able to carry before. With the extra space in my pack, they'd finally come with me. Behind the house was a river I hadn't seen before, easy to miss while I was looting inside. After removing the waypoint that brought me here, I headed back inside the house. I closed the door behind me, making sure I was safe. That's when I noticed some bookshelves with glass blocks between them. Kinda looked like an aquarium. I thought it was pretty cool. After looking around for a bit, I pulled up the carpet and chopped into one of the logs, making the floor. I thought maybe this place has a basement. Before heading out, I took another look at the lava pit in front of the house and then started toward home. Passing the river, I glanced at the well again and noticed it actually had a grindstone built into it. Crossing the river didn't go smoothly. I started drowning for a moment. Safe to say, I'm not the best swimmer. I pushed toward home, climbing a hill and jumping over a log as a critter stirred nearby. The sky was dimming fast, and just before I leapt into the ocean, I caught sight of the moon rising over the horizon. Running toward home, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey so far. Close calls in the caves, taking down an Enderman, and stumbling on hidden houses. Every step's been unexpected, but it's carried us forward. The base is just ahead, but the adventure's only just beginning. Back at home, I set 3 diamonds on a crafting table, ready to make a pickaxe, only to realize I had no sticks. I checked my chest, put away a few items, and smelted some iron ore while I was at it. Once I crafted some sticks, I made the diamond pickaxe I'd been waiting for. My inventory was overflowing, so I built another chest to store what I could. After dropping off the extras, I didn't wait for morning. I set sail again that very night. As I sailed across the water, a couple of flying fish leapt out beside me. I looked up at the sky for a moment, just taking it in, before spotting a small ship off the coast. Curiosity won out, and I turned back to check it out. On the ship, I found a villager named Lizette. When I tried to interact, she only shook her head no, like she had nothing to offer. Next to her was a barrel, and inside I found a fishing rod enchanted with Luck of the Sea 1, Unbreaking 2, and Lure 1. Just as I went to fish, I got ambushed by a group of drowned. About 6 of them tried climbing into my boat, and I took them down one at a time. They came swimming over like they wanted a ride, climbing right into the boat only to get taken down one by one. Worst Uber trip ever. I got into my boat and pushed forward and checked the map. Another structure was marked near a beach. I wanted to go check it out. As I stepped onto the shore, I looked toward the structure I was headed for when out of the shadows a spider rushed me. I backed up to give myself space, drew my sword, and struck as it closed in. I landed a couple hits, but took one blow in return, and then finished it off with 3 more strikes. At the edge where the sand met the grass, I spotted a couple cows and a skeleton hanging out. I reached the area of interest where I found another campground. I spotted a bed and slept the night away. At dawn, I woke to the sound of a baby zombie. I stepped out the tent, cautious, when it came sprinting toward me, already on fire. By some miracle, I had my shield ready this time. I braced, took a hit, and struck it down. I looted a chest inside the tent I slept in, and then I stepped back outside. Nearby, I gathered up a few hay bundles, always useful to keep that on hand. By this point, the day felt like it was winding down, and so was I. I decided to make my way back to the house with the lava pit out front. This time, I went straight for it. With a single pour from my water bucket, the lava hissed and cooled into obsidian. A small moment, maybe, but one that opens the door to much bigger adventures ahead. I jumped down into the pit, clearing away some stone to make sure no blocks would drop into the lava below. Then I got to work. Mining obsidian takes patience. Each block feels like forever, but I kept at it. Piece by piece, the pit was turning into something more valuable than it first appeared. With the obsidian secured, I headed back to the tower to grab a few things that I'd left behind the first time I passed through. My inventory had plenty of space now, even with the 20 blocks of obsidian tucked away safely. With everything gathered, it was time to head home once again, this time by boat. As I steered the boat toward home, I couldn't help but think how far we've already come on this adventure. From caves to canyons, close calls to new discoveries, it's been a journey. And before I wrap up, I just want to say thank you to all of you for the incredible support. Every new subscriber, every bit of encouragement means the world to me, and I'm so grateful to have you here along for the ride. And hey, still looking the same as back in episode 1. If you like seeing the world from this perspective, let me know. I made my way up the stairs, then straight behind my house, heading towards the world center, coordinates 00. For some players, it's just numbers on a map, but for me, it feels like a true landmark, a natural place to set down roots or mark a spawn point. After all, what better spot than the exact middle of everything? After carving the hillside at 00, I went ahead and built an obsidian frame. I stashed a few items in a nearby chest, But as I left the chest, yeah, I may have accidentally lit a fire next to my house. Just trying to make sure this flint and steel works. Once I got to the portal, I lit it and stepped through, straight into whatever comes next.